There's a lot of talk about AI agents and LLMs. So I thought it might be good to talk about some of the foundational stuff. So what is an LLM? An LLM, also called a large language model like, ChatGPT or Grok or Claude, gets trained in not just one, but a couple of phases. The first phase is the foundation or pre-training process. When pre-training happens, LLMs get trained on a wide variety of information data. It could be research documents, videos, images and pictures, audiobooks, music, meeting notes, and of course, the most obvious one, essentially the entire internet absorbed in a wide variety of formats. So the foundational training phase is extremely important because it absorbs literally terabytes of information. Enter massive data centers and the infrastructure to support them. That's a subject for another time. So the model gets trained, absorbing all of that information until it can process and transform the data into basic language, until it can create language and generate sentences in an understandable way, in a more human way. Think of it as kind of like training a young child through its formative years of early development. It takes in all of this data so that it can accurately complete a string of text on a wide range of topics and even in a variety of speech patterns. For example, the internet is composed of groups from around the world, which is why outputs can be translated into dialects and other languages. So when an LLM goes through its initial phase of the process, it continues on until it can accurately generate a coherent piece of text information, a series of sentences, a bit of language, all generated by this particular core. In the second part, it goes through a post-training phase where the model learns to refine and improve on the outputs that it creates. This could be, for example, things related to specific jobs or workflows or industries. The secondary phase involves giving the model specific types of information so that it can more accurately generate more fine-tuned and more specific results. The results, or outputs, get scored and ranked in such a way that the LLM gets positive reinforcement or negative reinforcement, depending on the desired outcome. Chatbots are supposed to be useful helpers, assistants designed to provide information. And in the training process, you can teach the LLM to give specific curated kinds of information to do specific tasks based on data, scoring, and ranking, probabilities, and reinforcement. So, to recap, in phase one, the model is pre-trained in an unstructured way using some training data. And this is the initial part of the process, which could be known as the base or the foundational model. Next comes the secondary phase, where the model is trained to fine-tune and more accurately generate outputs based on the information that it's being fed. This happens through specific data sets and reinforcement learning designed to teach the model how to generate outputs which are much more specialized. For instance, a model that does coding, or a model that does customer experience, or a model that is trained to give more specific job-related outputs, be it positive or negative, and based on a scoring system to make the model follow instructions that are directed by something called a system prompt. And the system prompt dictates how the model behaves, how it reacts, how it performs its processes to generate the outputs. In other words, the system prompt is a set of guidelines for the model to follow based on who it is and what it's designed to do. So if you're a builder and you're trying to shape outputs that have a desired outcome, you can do a few things within the pipeline. You often hear of folks trying to find high-quality data to train large language models. The better the data, the better the outputs. Then you can find better supervised data that lends to the process of creating reinforcement learnings for the model. You can include humans in the equation. Keeping a human in the loop helps models with pattern recognition. The more nuance and differentiation, the better. The other way is to, and this is probably the most important thing, the other way is to go into the system prompt and modify the information that sits in the foundational part of the model's training. But that's not it. That's not the full solution. You can't just go into the system prompt and try to make changes so that the model at its core is different. It's not ideal because you're still trying to go in and modify the core entity of the LLM. It's like trying to remove too much salt from a recipe after you've already dumped an entire box of it. The cap wasn't secure, the flavor profile as a result was ruined. You can't add or subtract other spices or dilute it with water to dull the effects. If it works, so much the better. But if it fails, you get a bland, lifeless melange. For a better explanation, you can check out this article, or better yet, this video right here. Thanks for watching.